everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Design Smarter Seamless Migration from PlanGrid to Autodesk Build with Bridge. This webinar is brought to you by Graitec. My name is Clemens, and I'm pleased to be your moderator today. So you can find a schedule of upcoming events, webinars, and trainings on our calendar at asti.com/calendar. So make sure to check that. So before we dive in, we'd love to learn more about how we can best support you and your business. If you could take a moment to answer the poll questions on the right side of your screen, it will be so helpful for us to learn how we can best serve you. We'll also like to invite you to check out our customers training and services. You can scan the QR code on the screen, but I will also add this back to the screen at the end of the webinar. So feel free to drop your question as they come to mind during the presentation in the live chat. We will have time to answer them at the end. So I am pleased to introduce our expert today. Mark Petrucci is an implementation consultant at Applied Software Graitec Group and Autodesk Technical Collaborator of the Year in 2022. A certified Autodesk instructor and implementation expert, Mark brings deep expertise in BIM, Revit, and construction workflow. He advises clients across AEC sectors, helping optimize processes through training, consulting, and solution development. So thank you so much for joining us today, Mark, and I'll go ahead and turn it on over to you.
Great. Thank you, Clemens. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I think it's ready.
All right,
you can
great.
Go ahead.
All right, so thanks everyone. Thanks for joining me today. So we're going to go through, today we're going to talk about PlanGrid, Autodesk Build, and Bridge. But I'm going to go ahead and start my presentation. And back up just a quick second here. We went through introductions. I do want to do a quick overview on what is Autodesk Build. We'll go over some of the key features. We'll talk about the benefits. I will briefly show you where Bridge is, where you can find it within Docs and Design Collaboration and Build. And then I'll actually do a live demo, or mostly live. There's certain parts I've already done, but I'm actually going to walk through it with you so you can actually see how to use Bridge to get some of your PlanGrid projects migrated over into Autodesk Build. So first, what is Bridge? Bridge, it's a powerful feature that's part of the Construction Cloud, and it makes it easy to share data like files and folders and sheets. And what's more powerful is that we can share that data between different projects and even across separate accounts. Now, it's designed to improve collaboration among teams such as general contractors, subcontractors, fabricators, vendors, designers, owners. So anybody who has access to the Autodesk Construction Cloud will be able to take advantage of Bridge. And a huge advantage is it allows those individual team members to work on files within their own project or their account, and then share them with people in other accounts. And so it's or the same project, but maybe on a different account. A good example I'll mention is a lot of times designers, engineers do not want to put their models on the general contractor's ACC account. So instead, they will open up using their own ECC account. They will create their own project, work on the files in their own project, and then using Bridge at specific times, they can take files and bridge them over to another project. And Bridge is built into tools like Docs, Design Collaboration, and Build, and you'll see it right there at the very bottom of the screen. And I'm going to walk you through how we're going to migrate files using PlanGrid, because you'll notice PlanGrid doesn't show up here. However, it does show up a little bit later, and I'll show you where that comes in. But to put simply, Bridge allows us to share data between projects in a way that's simple. We can automate it, and we can also track it. So here are a few key features related to Build. With Bridge, with Bridge, not Build, you can easily share files and folders and sheets between projects, even across other accounts, as I said, but without needing to manually download or upload anything. It also supports automated sheet sharing or file sharing. So everyone is working with the latest version, reducing risks and rework. And projects can be directly linked, which helps streamline communication with teams. And as for oversight, there's a centralized view of everything being shared in or out, so nothing falls through the cracks. Here you can see Autodesk Bridge and how it enables us to share files seamlessly between separate projects. What you're looking at here is docs. As I access the Bridge feature and I go into the Files section, a menu will pop up that allows me to share files between projects. You'll notice that I have the option to automatically sync updates to the target project. So again, if I am the source project, I am the designer, and I want to share my files with the engineers or with a general contractor, which is the source, I could do that. And I can also have it set up that as I automatically update my files, it will automatically update in the target locations. That's using just docs. On the build side, Bridge supports file sharing of sheets. And so we can take those sheets and we can sync them very much the same way. You notice an option here, it says automatically sync changes to the target folder. So if this is off, I can select files and share them manually when I need to with the other project. Or again, I can set up the automatic synchronization that every time a sheet is updated, it will update across the other project as well. But what we're really here for is PlanGrid, and the idea to talk about, PlanGrid and using the feature to migrate files over from PlanGrid over into Build. So let's look at a few things related to PlanGrid. First, a quick overview. PlanGrid is a legacy construction document management tool. It's been around for a long time. I'm still a big fan of PlanGrid. Okay, it's a great tool to use. It's widely used for sheet viewing, markups, and field collaboration. It's focused primarily on mobile first, and then it's also a field-friendly workflow. That is probably the biggest advantage of PlanGrid, is that it is a very easy-to-use program. Well, Autodesk decided to take that user interface and apply it to Build. And so we're trying to take a best of PlanGrid and the best of Build and put them together. But PlanGrid does have a few shortcomings. I can't do much with sharing data between projects. And the integration with PlanGrid is very limited. Whereas on the ACC side with Autodesk Build, there's a ton of integration options that we have available. So why transition from PlanGrid over to Build? Well, first, if we take a look at the two products side by side, you could already see on the left-hand side I show Build, and I'm actually missing a few things at the bottom there because I couldn't fit it all on the screen or when I did a screen capture. But you'll notice that with Build and with PlanGrid on the right-hand side, that there's some features that are missing in PlanGrid that have been added on the Build side. In fact, if we take a look, the features I've currently highlighted here on the right-hand side, all of these features exist inside of PlanGrid. But here are features that don't exist in PlanGrid. And one of the features down here, you notice reports. By far, people who have converted from PlanGrid over to Build, one of their comments is that they really enjoy the report functions in Build versus PlanGrid. Again, PlanGrid is a great product, but it is lacking some of the features that we have on the Build side, and the report feature is a big deal for PlanGrid users. PlanGrid lacks native support for multi-project file sharing. PlanGrid natively does not have bridge. And so I can't really select files and share them with another project using PlanGrid. And migration is needed to maintain continuity as support shifts to Build. So the industry has shifted over to Build. I still have a few PlanGrid customers. And the reason for that is because PlanGrid, there are just so many projects in PlanGrid, there's not an easy button to say, hey, take those PlanGrid projects and move them over to Build. So we can't just shut down PlanGrid because of that. So those projects are going to remain. But today I want to go through and show you, if you want to start migrating some of those PlanGrid projects over to Build, I would highly recommend that you do that instead of continuing to work on that project in PlanGrid, or starting it up again if there's some sort of renovation. I would encourage you to start migrating PlanGrid projects over to Build and migrate them over as needed. You don't have to do them all at once. You can be very selective when you start the migration process. So I do want to go through a live demonstration and show you how to do that, how to set it up. So what you see on the screen here is an example of a PlanGrid project. It's called the Applied State Student Center. My Build project is, we're going to use a different name, but this is what it looks like in Build. And what I'm going to use is this feature right here, which is part of Bridge, called As Built from PlanGrid. So most of the time when we use Bridge, we're actually selecting files and we're pushing them out to another project. In this case, I'm going to use Bridge that I'm going to pull in information, and I'm going to demonstrate that for you right now live. Okay. All right, what you're looking at here, this is my PlanGrid project. And within PlanGrid, you do have to do something to get this ready for Build, for the migration. So I'll come down here to Settings, and then you'll come right over here to where it says Download and Export As Built. When I select that, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select Generate New As Built. And from here, by default, it's going to take a date range where it's go to the project start date to today's or tomorrow's date. I'm going to include all the sheets and all the sheet versions. I'm going to include the markups. Now the markups, I should say that the markups will appear on the sheets. So we're going to generate a PDF here, and you'll be able to see the markups. But those markups do not come into ACC as ACC markups. So I'm just kind of giving you a heads up that they'll be visible, but they won't behave like an ACC markup. They're going to kind of be like, they'll be flat is what they'll be. But I'll also pull in the photos, documents, field reports. Our two log files here will be Excel exports, which is just going to be a list of all the drawings and a list of all the sheets. Basically, once you access this, then my recommendation is to always export out everything. And then you would hit zip file, and it'll start the process of generating this as built. Now, I've already done this a couple times today, and if I wanted to, I could hit the download button and then download it to my computer and then go over to ACC and upload them there. But I'm going to use Bridge. I don't have to do the download upload. So this is all I'm going to do here. Now, this one's going to take probably a good 5 minutes to run, so I'll pull in one of these others. But just wanted to show you how easy it is to generate an as-built set. Now I'll go over to Build. Now, inside of Build, I created a brand new project called PlanGrid to Build using Bridge Webinar. Okay. If I go into the Files section, you will notice a folder that's already created here called Applied State Student Center. And I had already downloaded everything to this folder. But in our session today, I'm going to bridge to this folder called Webinar Live so you can see how it works. And this takes about between 5 and 10 minutes to run. And that's why I did this ahead of time. But you'll notice that I don't have any folders in here. I'll come down to Bridge. Okay. I am currently in my project. I'm accessing Build. I could also do this from Docs, It's the same bridge command. Then I'll go to bridge, and then I'll come over here to incoming. And you'll notice right here it says import from a project. And I can import from another ACC project and import the sheets, another ACC project and import the files, or in this case, I'm going to import as-builts from PlanGrid. So I'll select that. From here, I'm going to select my PlanGrid project. And in this case, I'm using the Applied State Student Center. And then I'm going to select a target folder. This is in my ACC project. And I'm going to put it right here in the webinar live. There's nothing in here right now. I'll hit select. So now I've told it where to send it. The only thing left for me to do is select the as-built export. And as you can see here, I've got these two that I did today. I've got these that I did back on the 6th. I can select any one of these exports. Maybe I'll grab this one here from the 6th, and I'll hit select. And it's always a good idea when you import or export or share files, always put a message in here, live demo for webinar. And I'll just put import. Now, as you can see right up at the top, this is the one that I'm currently running, but here are two other ones that I ran earlier today. And here's one that I ran this morning. And if I click on it, it will show me all of the folders and all of the files that I'm bringing over from PlanGrid. Now, if I switch over to the files section and I come over to Webinar Live, you can see that it's already started creating that folder. And if I click on this, you'll see it's starting to populate some files, and it's got to populate the rest of these folders. But when it's all said and done, this is what I have. Now let me point out a few things here. Okay, these are my log files. This is just a list of the sheets as well as the drawings that I got from PlanGrid. The document section. So in PlanGrid, and I'm gonna put these side by side so that we can see this. Okay, let me do this. So just for those of you that are PlanGrid users, and I'm going to relate them, if I come over to, first let's talk about documents. If I select documents here, in PlanGrid, we call them documents. These are my folder structures, and in my folders are different files. Documents is the same as files in Build. And so if I come over to here and I click on documents, you're going to see the same folder structure. Notice my approved submittals, design review, drawing, and so on. So these have already been brought over. If I go to drawings next, drawings are my sheets. And if I click on sheets, you'll notice here the way they came over from PlanGrid into Build. These are actually the versions. Notice my 75%, my 100% set, my addendum 1. Well, if you come over here, here's my 75%, here's my 100% set, here's my addendum 1. So it's taking the version sets from PlanGrid and it's converted them into separate folders within ACC. Field reports. All the field reports from PlanGrid, when they come over, they're all converted to PDFs. And you'll notice over here on the left-hand side are my field reports. They're all organized by folders, by different types of reports. Click on my safety inspection. Looks like there's only one in there. One of these has a few more files in there. Here's one. This one has a number of forms. Finally, you'll see photos. And all the photos that came over from PlanGrid are placed in the photos folder. Okay. So I want to do a little bit more here to make this a little bit usable, but because we're going to say that this project is going to be opened back up, there's going to be a renovation. So I want to be able to use Build to actually work on this. So one of the first things I would do is come over to drawings and start taking these drawings and putting them over here into sheets. Now, I've already done it one time for my 75% set. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this for the other set. So I'm going to go back over into Files, and I will select the PlanGrid project. I'll go to Drawings, and I'm going to select on Addendum 1 because there's only 3 files in here. If I want to push these over into Build Sheets, I'm going to select each of them. I will hit Publish, and you'll notice the option that says Publish to Build Sheets. From here, I want to give this a version set name. Now, again, I'm going to do this side by side because I'm going to replicate what I've done over here inside of PlanGrid. You'll notice I have my Addendum 1 here, and it says it's got an issue date of August 6, 2020. So I'll give it the exact same name, Addendum 101, and the date on that says August 6, 2020. And we'll do that real quick here, August 6th. And from here, I'll go next to sheet number, so it'll scan the sheet number. Now, I know what you're thinking, isn't there an easier way to do this? Unfortunately, there isn't. We have to do this manually, and that's why I say if you're kind of selective on this, you do this as needed. You can bring in those files. You can replicate what the project looked like on the PlanGrid side, replicate it here on the Build side, and now you can take advantage of everything you did in PlanGrid. You can do that now inside of Build. You'll notice that it automatically recognized the sheet number. It automatically recognized the title block. It looks like this one needs to get fixed. So I'm going to update this one. That's the wrong title block. So we're going to fix that one. Draw sheet title area. And we're going to do this right here. By the way, this is nothing special compared to, this is typical of what we do with Build whenever we upload sheets here. So I'm going to make sure that it reads the correct sheet title. After that, I'm just going to hit Publish Sheets. So the same way in PlanGrid that I used to use the mobile app and I could look at all my sheets, I now can do that with Build. And I have access to those sheets, and they're also part of a specific version set. So not only am I able to do what I was able to do in PlanGrid, I can do it the same here in Build, plus more. Okay. And I'll clear this filter and we can see all the sheets that are set up here. So getting your sheets over, you want to select those and then you can push them over into the sheet section. Just come over to your project, go to Drawings, and select the correct folder that you want to do that with. There is one more thing that we can do though. Okay, for my documents, they're already here. They're already organized. Okay, maybe I rearrange them here. Maybe I go through the time of setting up permissions. Remember our permissions, we can control what people can see and what they can do with the folders. Me personally, my recommendation is that if you're going to bring PlanGrid projects over, bring them over as is. Don't change anything. Just kind of have this folder sitting out here that it was done in PlanGrid, and then create all your new folders down here. Hopefully you already have a standard folder structure. If you do, great. If not, create your folder structure, and then as you need to, copy files out of here. But leave this as your record set, your snapshot in time. When you migrated from PlanGrid over to Build, here's how everything existed back then. So there's your documents, there's your drawings, your field reports, we can't do much with those. Those are PDFs. But your photos, we can take one more step on the photo side. And you'll notice with Build, we do have an area here for photos. The PlanGrid photos went into a folder in the file section. I need a way to get these photos over into Build. So the way we would do that is to take advantage of Autodesk Desktop Connector. And the way I would do this is I would first go to Build, then I go to Photos. I hit the Add button, and you'll notice that I can drag and drop files in here, or I can hit Choose File, and I could go look for those folders, or those files, excuse me. Now, the way I would do this, you do have to install the free app by Autodesk called the Autodesk Desktop Connector, and pretty much every customer I work with, we go through that and we install it. But what it does, it ends up showing right down here on your computer, right here. Shows up right here as Autodesk Docs. When I select on it, I'm going to go to my account. I'm going to go to my folder, my project. This is my PlanGrid to build project. I'm going to go to project files. I'll go to my folder that has the photos in there. Go to documents. Something's not right here. Hold on a second. And we're going to go back a step here. Okay. I may have not clicked on the right folder. So here's my photos. And here are all the files that came over from PlanGrid. And I'll just select a handful of these, and I'll just hit Open. Because I'm using Desktop Connector, I can grab them from the File section, and I can bring them here into my photo gallery. And the benefit of bringing them here in the photo gallery now is that they're easily viewable, and I can do things like attach them to issues. I can attach them to RFIs. I can attach them to reference them to other parts of Build. But it is a bit of a workaround, but it does work, and it works very well, that I can take all of these files and then push them over into the Photos section here. And using Desktop Connector, it's a matter of just drag and drop. You know what? I'm just checking because Autodesk is constantly updating the software. I was just seeing if they may have added a feature that says publish to photos, and I don't see that here now. So the way in which I just showed you is the best way to do that with Desktop Connector. All right, let's do this. Let's bring back our PowerPoint. So what is the business impact of using Bridge with PlanGrid? Well, it's going to reduce manual effort and time spent on file transfers. Okay, I didn't go to PlanGrid and download them and then go to Build and upload them. I used the file transfer process. One more thing to show you, which I forgot. I briefly mentioned it, but I do want to show it to you here, which is, if I come down here to Bridge, here is a record of all of the files that I've shared going out, which I haven't shared any. And here are all the files that I've shared coming in. So I actually have a record. And now if I click on this, I can actually see all the files in folders. And I can see where it came from. Shared from this project. Who shared it with me. The date and time in which it was shared. So I have a record of all of that. Real quick, since we have a little bit of time, if you ever wanted to share these files with other projects, it's just a matter of selecting on the files. And so if I select on a folder, or if I select on a file down here, it's a matter of coming up to here and hit the share button. When you select share and you see this option right here, it says another project, that's Bridge. I don't know why they don't put Bridge in there that says Bridge with another project, but that is Bridge. And I am going to share these 3 files down here, or 2 of them, and I can add more. And all I need to do is decide on which project I want to share it with, and maybe which folder to put it in, wherever I have permission to put it. And if I hit share, those files will be sent over to that training project. So here I was just showing you how easy it is for me to take files from one build project and share them with another. On the PlanGrid side, I had to go into PlanGrid and I said, create an export. And then from Build, I said, okay, let's pull that in. We're going to maintain data structure and version integrity. Again, remember the files that came over from PlanGrid, they were organized by version. Every folder, if I had versions of it, they were organized by folder. I had my 75% CDs, my 100%, my addendum 1. Minimize project disruption and rework. I mean, as long as we're migrating files over faster and easier, we'll maintain project. Improve cross-project visibility and collaboration. That's a given. As we're sharing files back and forth between projects, that's improving. And really, it's to support a smoother transition over to Autodesk Build. If you're still using PlanGrid, finish your projects in PlanGrid. I'm not going to say switch in the middle. Definitely finish your projects in PlanGrid. But once you finish those projects, or if you start a brand new project, do that inside of Build. And if you need to take some of the information that you have in PlanGrid and bring them into Build, then I've shown you a little bit on how to do that here. Okay. All right, that's it for my presentation. Fairly simple, fairly short. Are there any questions? Any comments? Any questions? You're currently on mute.
I was on mute. Yes. So while we gave everyone a moment to think maybe of any question they might have, I'll go ahead and ask a few. So the first one will be, when will Autodesk retire PlanGrid?
Yeah, that's so I don't think Autodesk, by the way, I don't know for sure actual dates when things like that are going to happen. They don't share that with us. But I don't think that it will retire anytime soon. And the reason for that is there are so many projects, so many customers using PlanGrid or have been using PlanGrid that until there's an easy button to move files from PlanGrid to Build, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. If I was to guess, I would say that maybe they might prevent you from making new projects. You'll be able to finish projects, but as far as creating new projects, I would encourage you to do that instead of PlanGrid, because that's where the industry is going. So, but yeah, I don't think retiring anytime soon.
Okay, thank you. So next one would be, how do you migrate live RFIs and live submodules?
Yeah, that's all right. So you probably saw that during this setting side here on PlanGrid, when I said download export.
You want to share? Okay, yeah. I'm having
to
the stream.
Yes, thank you for doing that for me. You'll notice that RFIs and submittals don't show up here. So there's not a way to migrate live RFIs and submittals from PlanGrid to Build. And honestly, there's not a good way to migrate live RFIs and submittals from any system out there. And the reason for that is when you generate an RFI or a submittal, whether you generate it, you respond to it, you review it, you answer it, anybody involved in that workflow, your name, your email address, the date, the time in which you reviewed it, all of that is hard-coded into the RFI and submittal. So I can't just take it from one project or one system and move it to another system and have all that information come with it. So that's the challenge. Are there systems out there that will let you move some of that stuff over? Yes. What you'll end up seeing is anything moved over, typically a PDF is generated with all the activity, the history about it with it. But when it's brought into the new system, it's going to have a brand new date associated with it, brand new creation date. So it's a little tricky, but there are systems out there that can do it. But that's why it's not an easy button for it. It's important that we track date and time information associated with it. So,
okay, thank you.
Yeah, one more comment. If somebody wanted to do it, I would end up going to RFIs and submittals and exporting them out as a log file or as a PDF, and then copy those over to ACC.
Okay. Another question would be, can you copy PlanGrid tasks to build like issues?
Yeah, so, and tasks are a little bit different, but same thing. You'll notice tasks are not listed here. But if you do go over to tasks and you go to export all, you will see an option to export this out as an Excel file. You can export the text out to an Excel file, and then inside of Build, there is an import feature with Build. If I go to Issues, and you'll see an option here, it says Import Issues. The only gotcha here is the spreadsheet that Autodesk uses for Build, the columns are different than they are for PlanGrid. So you will have to copy and paste some of that information into different columns when you bring it over into ACC, into the spreadsheet for ACC. But you could get those tasks from PlanGrid, and they can be brought over into Build. The only other thing that to make you aware of, if the task is linked to a particular file in PlanGrid, it's not going to link to that file in ACC. So it's going to be just a list of issues. They'll respond as an issue, but you just won't see the pin on the drawings. But at least if you want that issue for have a log, you can have it. So.
Okay. And last one, how do you control who can bridge files?
So Bridge itself, there's no permissions associated with Bridge. However, if I go into the Files section, I could use Bridge if I have permission to specific folders. If I don't have a permission to a folder, I can't bridge it. Or I also need permission to download. So it all depends on the administrator on what type of permissions they give you. I may not be able to bridge certain files just because of what folder they are in, but that's not because of Bridge, it's because of the permissions for files. Same thing with sheets. I can't bridge a sheet unless I have permission to download it. And if I don't have permission to download, I can't bridge it.
Okay. Okay, so if we don't have any questions, I will just put back the QR code for you guys to scan it. And yeah, so thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate you spending your time with us and trust it was meaningful and impactful for you and your business. We look forward to seeing you on a further webinar. Have a great day, and thank you, Mark.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.